All right, welcome to the Sushi Onsen AMA, where we host projects that have partnered through the Onsen program and give them a platform to reach a larger audience. Today we have members from the Strudel Finance team with us. Thanks for coming out and welcome to the sushi community, Ataxia.
Studying medicine for most part of my adult life. I got past that, and then it was just July of last year when I started getting into crypto like really full time, trying to solve some of the problems I had in medicine, but then just falling in love with the whole DeFi thing. And one of the projects that we saw, and I got a little bit of a community of people talking about the more technical aspects and protocol design, right? So one of the projects that really caught our eye was Strudel, which was made by Kino, who's actually a core member now on Sushi, and we fell in love with the protocol and with the idea they had to make a really trustless bridge for Bitcoin. And but I also saw some like flaws on their initial design because they had different incentives back then. They had made a balancer smart pool. The first iteration didn't quite work out. Then the market went into a little bit of a bear mode as Bitcoin went up, and the project kind of like fell into the wayside. Kinaway then got into sushi, and didn't really have time to continue. So we took up the task to really just pushing it like that last mile down to where people really took notice, and we had a really nice adoption by the market at the start of the year, and then we've created a big community that got us all the way into Onsen. So that's a bit of the story with Strudel. With this, it has been a coaster really, but it's been so much fun.
Gotcha, that's awesome. I didn't realize Kino was so intimately related to Strudel.
Yeah, they made the whole thing came up with the idea of a trustless bridge and implemented it, and the bridge itself works and it works perfectly, and it was just the incentive side on Ethereum that we've been working on.
Yeah, so do you want to sort of, just for anybody who may not know, go over the basics of what Strudel Finance is and what services it provides for
Sure.
DeFi?
So Strudel is the first really trustless bridge for Bitcoin into Ethereum, and it's one way. And so to break it down, bridging Bitcoins means that you have to hold proof that you have the original Bitcoin somehow, and then issue an equivalent on the Ethereum network, right? Everyone here is familiar with wrapped Bitcoins and RAN Bitcoins, but those are not really trustless wrappers. Wrapped Bitcoin is a custodial bridge where you trust the wrapped Bitcoin multi-sig holders and institution to procure the safety of those Bitcoins for forever, basically. And as Bitcoin gets more valuable, that's a bit of a problem because it's more of a risk because the stakes are higher, right? If Bitcoins are $10,000 each, it's not much of a problem to have a multi-sig with 12 people. But if you have $1 billion worth of Bitcoins in a multi-sig, then it's a risk, right? So Ren tried to fix this problem and came out with a thing called the trust minimized bridge, which uses collateral, and they have this basically a proof of stake network where rent master nodes hold the bitcoins, and that's how they minimize trust because the collateral is worth more than the bitcoins. But this is a problem because it's not capital efficient because you have to lock up a lot of capital, and if you want to wrap all the bitcoins, you need to wrap more money than what the bitcoins are worth. And if we want Bitcoin to be like the money, you cannot have the wrapper be worth more, right? So Surreal Bitcoins, what they do is that they do a trustless bridge that requires no collateral by using a thing called an op return code, which makes the bitcoins on the original trade chain untradeable. And we issue a one for one token for each bitcoin that's held by the Strudel protocol. So it's the proof of ownership of that token that can be traded on the Ethereum network. So on the Ethereum side, we make incentives so that people want to hold the Bitcoin and make it um, more attractive to a user. But in essence, it holds the same economic principles, and by all means should be valued the same way.
Gotcha. And for the function that is the effective burn on the Bitcoin
Hmm.
network, um, I forget the name of it
It's
already.
up return code.
And do you want to go into how that works? I from my understanding of reading the docs, it's basically like it's a functionality that is built into a specific client.
Yeah,
Um,
it's supported by the BEP 70 client, which is still used by a few wallets that we support. And the thing is that if we prove that this is a useful thing and a lot more bitcoins start being wrapped, more clients are going to use that specific proposal.
I see. And is it almost like a soft fork
Uh,
wallet
n-
where it
um, I am not 100% sure, but it's just a different. I think it's on the transaction client, but it's on the same network. It's not like you're forking bitcoins.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like a soft fork
It's the
as in
same chain,
it's a new
right?
chain. Yeah, yeah. Um, that's interesting. All the blockchain stuff or Bitcoin blockchain stuff gets rather complicated pretty fast.
Yeah, and when you use the bridge, you realize how clunky the Bitcoin network actually is, and the reason why we're bringing them into Ethereum is that there are actually, like, if you take them into Ethereum, you solve all the problems with the Bitcoin implementation because you already have the proof of the Bitcoin. Then the chain can stop moving, right? Because it's already settled, and you can just swap bitcoins forever in other chains because eventually the even the Bitcoin incentive for the Bitcoin chain is going to run out, right?
Eventually, the Bitcoin chain is going to run out of rewards. You said.
Yeah, I mean, with the halving schedule, it's the 21 million bitcoins are just are
Yeah,
going to be yielded for like 40 years or something like that.
yeah. I think in like 2040s
Eh,
is when like the last like couple
right.
hundred or something is minted.
And then everyone's gonna be trying to figure out an incentive to keep mining that chain. But if you have wrapped like forever uh, bitcoins in Ethereum and other chains, then you don't have that issue, right? You can just let it let it stay still, right?
Yeah, and I just wanted to throw out a reminder for everybody that this is a totally open AMA. So if you have any questions or wanted to say something, feel free to sort of signal that you have something to say. Um, just something I wanted to touch on was has Strudel Finance gone through any audits, or so what does your sort of internal security process look like?
Well, so in security, the deployment, Kino, and Johan, which is the other developer, they have a lot of experience in Solidity. They come from LeapDAO, and their implementation is very security first. All the bridge elements are held in a serverless configuration, which cannot be modified by any means other than GitHub merges from the main repo. Um, and then the bridge itself has the contracts. The protocol has not been audited yet. We have been in contact with a few firms, but due to budget, we really haven't been able to get the kind of quality we want for the price. Um, and but the protocol itself has been operating for over, I think, 6 months by now, so it's had ample time for the attack surface to be explored, especially on the bridge. And the bridge itself is a very simple mechanism where there's not that many moving parts that can be exploited in the first place. So it's not um, the integrity of the bridge is what I personally am most worried, not worried, but like it's my main concern, that we have to protect that always. And with the design that we have, I think that it is very likely that it's not exploitable because of the amount of time that it's been on production, at least with current methods, right?
Yeah, tested through fire.
Yeah, because we have bridged 22 bitcoins already, so there is a little bit of a honeypot for someone who would want to exploit it, right? And the only way that you can mint more strudel bitcoins is that you burn the original bitcoins, which is like a high price to ask, especially if we haven't met the peg yet. I mean, while we're not on the peg.
And I wanted to talk about the peg a little bit. So like right now the VBTC is trading at a discount compared to uh, uh, Bitcoin.
Right.
Um, and I was curious if you guys had like internal projections for like at a certain point there'll be enough liquidity of VBTC on
Mm-hmm.
chain to where that volatility is minimized extremely.
Right.
And I was curious if you guys had like projections for like the number of or like the amount of liquidity you like are aiming for on VBTC to you know for like a medium to long term secure peg.
Right. So on that aspect, I think that if we get to around 100 bitcoins, and this is not something that because of since the peg mechanism. All right. Let me break it down a little bit. So over time, we have been making more options to peg the Bitcoin. So this is trying to mainly reduce the floating amount of BUTC there is. So right now we've created like three different liquidity pool programs plus a stablecoin issuance that's meaning to get BBTC out of circulation. So this would reduce the amount of liquidity that you need to reach a stable peg, right? But even without that, I from the start I've been thinking that if we get to the number of around 100 bitcoins, you wouldn't have that much volatility anymore because getting one more extra bitcoin would only reduce the price around 1%. If they're all most of them are um pooled, right? So the most important thing is to figure out a way to make the holders on the Ethereum side want to pool the Bitcoin, and then it's a function of, like you said, just going on over time. It's gonna get easier and easier because there's more and more liquidity to move. Um, but I think by if we get to 100, which is 4x from now, um, we would get a very stable coin. But we are seeing progress like every day. It's way less volatile than it was like a month ago.
Cool, cool, cool. Anybody else? Anybody have any questions they wanted to ask? I don't want to
Yeah,
steamroll
guys.
over
I,
people.
f- I feel like there's a lot of people here, but no one talking.
I guess
I
we're
do have a
probably
question.
unsure if we can speak or not. Yeah, we can speak in here. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a question about the peg. I know there's the
Mhm.
Ichi farm. I'd like
Right.
to hear more about how Ichi aims to peg Bitcoin and if there's any more or peg VBTC and if
Hmm.
there's any more mechanisms coming down the pipeline.
Right. So what happens now is that our idea is that we wanted to create a stable coin so that when people um, take profits from the BBTC, they don't necessarily drop the Ethereum price and thus the Oracle down. Um, so by making the stablecoin, the BBTC stablecoin pools, we let people sell. this token for the one token if they want to stay in the ecosystem. And it also, when they do that, they create an opportunity for someone else to create more stable tokens because they go up the peg, like they go up, right? So what happens is that to make the stable tokens, you need to own some BBTC. So we're making more holders out of the arbitrageurs, and that's one mechanism to get. If you get a more distributed holder base, it's more likely that you have a peg token because you have more people who actually think it's Bitcoin, right? um, and it's not only that. So the arbitrage goes both ways, and also we have the fact that you have the Strudel pool. We just created the Strudel pool with the one BBTC token, and we're gonna incentivize it. So we're gonna link in the volume from the Strudel pool, which is kind of high, to the BBTC system, so that creates more arbitrage opportunities and so on and so forth. So Ichi is really just closing the circuit for having like a counter asset to help peg the token because you get the mint burn mechanism there. And to the other part, over time, what we're doing, we're going to try to like, there's a lot of different projects that are working on stabilizing coins, such as Metastable and Curve. And it's all about how big we are, right? If we get more Bitcoins, they're going to be more desirable for other projects. Things like Badger that just need us to be a different kind of size for them to find it attractive to partner with us, right? And huh?
Think about it.
Sorry, I'm getting someone, but it's cut off.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they were asking a question or if they were just open micing. I muted
Right.
them for the time being. Yeah, I think they're just open micing with feedback.
Yeah. So does anyone else have a question?
I was actually curious if you guys had ever considered trying to bridge other assets as well, like maybe like Litecoin, for instance.
Oh yeah, totally. We were just, I mean, we have been super busy trying to get like the web page and everything to where it's at now. We think we really brought it up a notch in quality, and making these deals and partnerships with you guys and with Ichi to get all these systems in place for it to be more attractive. But now that we've kind of like have been able to catch a breather, we have been starting talking about other tokens. I am personally a little bit of a fan of Bitcoin Cash, uh, and because it has such a similar structure for Bitcoin, it will be actually pretty easy to bridge it using our mechanism. And it's a lot of value because the whole point of the Strudel mechanism, of the Strudel thing, is that we are bringing value that's not on Ethereum and we are adding it to the chain, right? So it's a really nice value prop. And I think that with Bitcoin Cash, it would really help um, have us like a really easy fork that we understand, and be able to add something that hasn't been done in the Ethereum chain yet.
I actually had
Oh,
an,
go ahead.
I was gonna ask about the arbitrage opportunities between VBTC one and, or sorry, one VBTC, and how you go about like when you see that, that adds to the VBTC value, correct?
Yeah, because the idea is that, I mean, you have a few options, because if you see that the price that the one BBTC is overpriced, you can mint new ones, which requires you to buy some BBTC, like a little bit, and then you can sell the coins you mint for BBTC, and you can buy BBTC with it, and it's going to increase it even further. So that's one way that we want to do it. And there's also like robot arbitrage with like these are like automatic swap routes that they find, because it's when you have like a complex route, there's chance that you can make profit off of like high frequency trading schemes. But we like to see that the Ethereum ends up in the BBTC pool. So that's what we want.
Hey, Ataxia, what are the current benefits for farming VBTC, one VBTC, and TRDL? What does it look like from a farming perspective?
Right. So our Strudel farm, let me check the APY right now because I haven't checked for a while. But we are in the high 500s rarely, and this pool is cool because we have what's called a reflexive farming schedule, which is something I really like on a farm, which is an incentive that when the system is working properly and we are pegged and there's bitcoins crossing, the yield rate actually goes up for a while. Like, and so it's like a bonus payment for people for being there at the moment that it's pegged, right? So we're let me just check on this real page what the APY is, because and the other thing is that we have a lot of different farms, so you can get strudels at the strudel farm, you can get sushi at the onsen, you can get ichi at the ichi farm, and we only have a balancer pool. You can go in and get a token called TWA there. So right, so there's a 484% APY to provide liquidity on the Strudel Ethereum sushi pair, and around 350% for VUTC. And that's on our farm. And then you have the sushi menu. I don't know if we're still the highest APY in there on Onsen.
And I had a question from Vincent Renat. I don't know if they said that name right, but he sent me a question with text because he didn't have a microphone. He said, how do I, as an outsider of the protocol, verify the trustless bridge? And how does the protocol fund sending the VBTC to the Ethereum address, pair it with the BTC?
Okay, so those are great questions, by the way. Um, we you can see the relayer contract, and the when you can see all the transactions that have minted the VBTC contain the information from the relayer. So the thing is that we're running a system with the bridge, and this is actually a part, like the bridge uses a relayer that's run in partnership with the TBTC team. So what they're doing is that they are copying basically the entire Bitcoin blockchain onto the Ethereum blockchain, um, like every block, uh, to be able to ensure the bridge. So by them doing that, we are using that information they're gathering to use the relayers and to create the BBTC. Now, this approach is super hyper expensive, and we have been working on more efficient ways to do this. Like we don't have to copy all of the transactions, all of the blocks, but you can copy just you make a like an update before you make new tokens. So this is new techniques that we're gonna be using if we get more bridge activity. But I hope that this answered the question.
Yeah, I was just curious. What were some of those other strategies or techniques that you were exploring as alternatives?
Right. So there's this concept of Merkle trees, and there's services, and I am following some protocols that basically they are a layer two that Merkleizes data. So you get a batch of data and you make a Merkle tree out of it. So instead of storing all of the data on chain, you just store the root of the Merkle tree as a proof, and then you have a trusted source of data, right? So that's one way to like reduce a lot of information expenses, and we can create what's called like a super block, and that's something that we could implement to make a thing like a Dodge bridge, which uses way more blocks than Bitcoin chain.
Interesting. Gotcha. I very poorly understand Merkle trees. I sort of understand it's like you're wrapping a bunch of data up together in like an encrypted format where it's like compressed almost.
Yeah, it's like hashing the hash of the hash of the hash, and you get a tree of that, and then the root is basically you can verify the whole thing. So instead of having to store all the data, you store the root of the tree of the hashes of the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So imagine the main chain is like a tree, and these are like little branches you put on top. But you just paste the base of it.
Yeah, and the trunk infers all the rest of the branches.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the to actually peg the VBTC, because it looks like it's a little bit lower, but to actually peg it, is it farming that'll get you there? What gets you to that peg or that price?
So like really, it's just an adoption thing, because in the end, the because the first intention of this bridge was to use like a balancer pool that used like flash loans to set the peg and some like really fancy stuff. But the truth of the matter is that if the community doesn't believe in the peg and believe that these are bitcoins, uh, they are not gonna get them, right. And the thing is that I think that this is the current price of Bitcoin, because the crowd on Ethereum is less interested in Bitcoin than the crowd outside of Ethereum, right. And this is just an adoption thing. So, and the important thing is that as long as we can say that the bridge is safe and it's not compromised, these are just as scarce as Bitcoins. And even if it takes like 10 years for people to realize that, you can still like collect Bitcoins from Strudel Finance, because they're backed one to one by an original Bitcoin, right? It's just the ownership of that original Bitcoin.
Got it. No, thank you so much. Hey, I personally have to jump, but man, it's impressive. Trustless bridge from Bitcoin to Ethereum. So hats off, keep it up.
Thank you for participating. I'm happy to hear that you're interested. And there's also like a very cool thing about the peg now. Um, so one thing I just did before I joined this AMA is that I deployed the first NFT Strudel Bitcoin. So I have this. I'm following this project that lets you wrap any ERC token as an NFT. So I just have to update the metadata to show a proper icon and stuff. But if I sell this on OpenSea, I don't have issues with the peg or liquidity, because I'm just gonna post it for a price of a Bitcoin, right? I'm actually not even going to post the price, just gonna take auctions. And since I'm not selling now, I'm just gonna sell whenever I find an auction that's my Bitcoin price, right?
That's actually quite clever in terms of like trying to restore the VTPC peg. So I don't know, it's pretty impressive. I wanted to update you too on the Onsen. You guys still are the top APYs for right now.
Yay. That means there's not enough people in that pool, guys. Come on, help me out.
Hey, I'm just
Alpha
curious.
left on the table.
I've been following Strudel for quite a bit of time, and I'm really interested in this VPTC. I thought about this thing because you're saying that the bitcoins are scarred, which because there's a block on that blockchain saying that this is a Strudel burned trustless bridge that's gone into the Ethereum blockchain. And I'm just curious that why does it even have to be pegged? What if it actually runs more valuable that it was burned and then it's in this new life form because you're getting high APYs, you are getting rewards in Strudel that actually have value. What if it goes, double or even triple or past you know, why do
Right.
we have to keep shorting it to the peg?
Right. I mean, that is an excellent question. The answer is that we don't. That people just see whenever Circle Bitcoin has been over the peg, people have just thought, oh, it's over the peg, I have to sell it. But it's still a Bitcoin that you sold, and people did that at like $25,000, right? And we're past that. We're $35,000 now. So even if we're not peg, we're a rapidly appreciating token. And what you said is 100% true. What's going to happen though is that when we go over the peg, then people really want to use the bridge and they're really quick to burn bitcoins to arb that down, at least until the price is met. But and to be like we're even more poignant, I don't know if you guys saw what the injective protocol did with the Banksy. They bought a Banksy, the real one, paid like $100,000 for it, and they burned it, and then they made an NFT of it, which is going for like twice what they bought it for, right? Because it's now more fungible, it's now on a larger market, it can now do more things, right? So that's the exact same thing that we're doing with the bitcoins. We're not taking any value from them, we're just putting them somewhere where they're more useful. And the only thing that we need for it to really happen, for the peg to be met, is for the rest of the market to understand our value proposition. Because on face value, it is like kind of jarring, when you saw the Vansky burn, it's like, why are you doing that? But if you understand how this works and what it means to be able to prove something, then you understand that this true Bitcoin is just like any other Bitcoin. It should be priced as so the same way.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. It's a it's a primarily like just a information problem where like the information needs to disseminate to people so that they understand the dynamics.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to ask about is the Strudel token. Is there some sort of like revenue sharing mechanics, or is that just a governance token? How does that work?
So what the Strudel token does is that it captures the value that so that the added value that we're bringing by bridging the Strudel Bitcoins into Ethereum is represented by the Strudel token. So in the first place is our governance token, yes, and it's also been a reward. It's also a rewards token, which is yielded to farmers. There's also an added mechanism where if we are above the peg, we can do a what's called a Dutch auction for VBTC and burn strudels in order to bring the price down while putting some pressure into the system. Also, we have made sure to pair strudel Bitcoin with the rest of the with the Strudel pool and the Strudel liquidity, so that the trading volume from the two pools are intertwined in a way where there's arbitrage going to and from each other. And also in the future, since we're also going to be um, wrapping other tokens, it's going to be more scarce at the farm. It's going to be more sought after as it governs like more protocols that are being bridged, right? Much like Ren.
Yeah, I see the similarities there.
Is there any alpha that you could share with us? Any partnerships or marketing, whatever?
Yeah, sure. We are really interested in the cross chain journey that most of the market's starting to take. We're happy to be on Sushi because we know that you guys are working and stuff, but we're also partnering up with other chains that are maybe like lesser known, and we're going to be featured on a new automatic market maker on a blockchain called Lambda, which is they're launching a thing called Rocket Swap, and they have been really close friends for quite a while. So the Strudel Bitcoin is actually going to be the first tokenized Bitcoin to go to that chain. So we're going to be the basically their default Bitcoin there. So I'm pretty excited for that.
And what is the chain? Do you say Lambda?
Lambda, it's Lambda Tau. That's the ticker. It's a pretty cool project, and we're also trying to get into like any place that we can be bridged to. We're just happy to to take the. We love bridges.
Is there any is there anyone on the sushi side that could comment on the decision to bring this kind of wonderful project to their to their pools and whatnot? Or is it
I, w-
just
I wish I had someone here who was involved in that decision, but unfortunately, I don't. But I know that SushiSwap is all about sort of elevating and platforming uh, other various DeFi projects that share in the sort of greater vision of a like the sum of all parts of DeFi is larger than each individual part taken, and
Totally.
I think reaching out across the aisle is just lines up for both of our ethoses. So yeah, I wish I could have I think Jiro or Amaka Sebar are involved in those decisions usually.
Yeah. Gear's probably busy making some kick-ass sushi.
I think they're all heads down on Kashi right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to address them. If not, I mean, it's been a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah. If nobody's got any more questions, it's a good time to sort of start wrapping things up. But yeah, I don't want to cut anybody off.
Chun chun chun. I love when you end something like this and there's no questions. It's like, did I do
I've done
something wrong?
several like that.
Any more information on the Strudel Bitcoin NFT?
I can share you a link on it. It's here in OpenSea. Here it is. I have to figure out. I know that the metadata can be changed, but I have to figure out how. I think so. You do this by just wrapping any amount of ERC tokens, and you create when you create the first one. It's like a Bitcoin an LP token, but after that, it's way easier in this thing, and we should get the whole thing soon.
So we have been talking a lot about like BBTC, which seems like it's really important to this project. But like, I don't know. I guess for like a normal liquidity pool holder like myself, this does seem really attractive at these APYs, and especially on the Strudel Finance um, site as well as the sushi site. I mean, I guess so. This is just an adoption thing. Like, why wouldn't more people be putting this?
Yeah, it's
What's
an
scaring
adoption
people away? I can make as much as I do driving Uber right now. Like,
yeah, it's an adoption thing. Mainly, I think, and from the start, I've been like sure that it's an adoption thing because there's the thing is safe, but the problem is for most people the fact that the bitcoins cannot be taken back to the Bitcoin chain is like a problem. But I mean, I think it's just like not enough understanding on where the system is going, right? On what's going to happen to Bitcoin and what's going to end up being. And when you realize the vision of it, which is kind of, we've tried to make it easier to share it, and I think that it's at that point that it's easier to share. Um, but once you get past that initial point, it's much easier, and it's just like stages, right? And you get resistance for the idea, and then some breakthrough, and then some more resistance. But as the amount of Bitcoin's growth, mainly that we have in the protocol, it's easier and easier to do.
Yeah, super interesting. Well, I mean, especially since you don't even, if like, let's say somebody did not like the Strudel token, for instance, like, and you're farming for sushi, like, it's still, you don't have a single one. I think his dudeness was saying you don't have a single Strudel pool under 300%, even the sushi one. So that's I mean, fascinating protocol. I'm absolutely interested. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out more questions to ask you as long as I've got you on the line, you know?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here and to anything else on the onsen. Um, yeah, I just love sushi, man. I just think it's just such a cool project, such an I love the open sourceness of it, and I hope that we can just be longtime partners. You know.
Yeah, how much longer are you it will the Strudel BTC be on Onsen? What's the typical time
I think
frame?
it's 2 months, so we just started. We're just in the first week.
Oh wow. That's amazing. What happens after the 60 days are up?
Um,
I believe the sushi team basically reevaluates based on trade volume and market cap. And it's like if the market cap has gone up, they qualify for a higher level of sushi reward, for instance.
yeah,
Oh, okay. So the 60 days is sort of like trial period. If you make it, then you'll get like even higher sushi APYs.
Well, it's a evaluation period that goes on for every pair, ongoing, basically.
Okay. Okay. And so with Strudel Finance having, you guys have two different liquidity pools on Onsen right now, the one
yes,
VBTC and the Strudel to WE.
yes, we have two of them.
So then that's, each one of those would be evaluated, like, or
I think probably it depends on how many pools there are that are incentivized. I would assume it's, you know, looking at the token and like the project as a whole in terms of the liquidity it drives.
Yeah, I think we have 7 pools total, so it's gonna be about if we keep the 7, if we are taking out of the menu, or if we even more, if we're doing great.
Yeah, and I assume like if like the market cap goes up and you guys qualify for a higher level of reward, then that higher level reward would just be split up between all the different pools.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
and I may have missed this because I was early on in this. How long has Strudel Finance been under your jurisdiction from Kino?
We start around the first week of January. If you look at the chart when the pump started, we started the pump.
There you go. Oh wow, that's, seems like a lot of work has been done in 2 months. That's very impressive.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a turn, and it's really a long term thing, and the community sometimes gets like a little bit anxious because there's a lot of things going on, and but the thing is that the system itself is very solid. The dev team is 100% confident on the solution, and the thing is that I personally think of crypto as primitives, like a bunch of primitives working together, and I think that this is like really a new primitive in the space. And whenever you find a new primitive in the space, you suddenly get this like surge of new things that can happen. So, for example, one thing that we have been working on is that there are some minor projects, right, that are tokenizing mining operations. Like you had one on Onsen called PBBTC, right? And they have an actually like a trust step where they have to go and tokenize the bitcoins before they put them in the smart contract, right? For them to be yielded to their users. But we could, with Strudels, you could have a solution where we could write a script that directly tokenizes the bitcoins as they are mined. So you could be guaranteed that those bitcoins are straight from the miner to the Ethereum network by virtue of a series of smart contracts that make it all trustless. So that's some interesting design space that cannot be done by other projects.
That is a very interesting point. So when you guys were talking, I'm sorry, the main lead of the Magic Turtle, when you and Magic Turtle were talking before about like how many bitcoins could be mined and like the date that's set. So technically, from like if that protocol were to be written up to where the miners could immediately use or tokenize the mining bitcoins, that would be good for the next 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, you could use that for quite a bit, and that's an ongoing value proposition, right? So the value of strudel. So people ask a lot, what's the value of this? It's like a oil mining operation, and like an oil rig that puts like oil into barrels. We're putting Bitcoin into wrappers. It's just the same thing.
And so, again, sorry, I came late to this. What what are the main competitors for Strudel right now? Can I ask that question here? I'm not trying to get too market cappy. I'm just wondering.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Um, so the only there's classes of wrappers, right? So I explained in the start that there's like token trust wrappers, trust based wrappers like wrap Bitcoin, trust minimized wrappers like REN and any other tokenized Bitcoin you see around, and then there's a trustless Bitcoin wrapper, which we are the only one in that category. So we can do a bit of a flex in that sense. And if you compare us like market cap wise to other projects, they are all from like 10 to 100 times the market cap that True is. And just think about it. How much money would it take you to make it to make a trust like any other fashion of bridge? It would take a lot of money to set up to make a solution to solve the custody and everything. But this is like a ragtag tag team of people that has been able to custody 22 bitcoins for almost half a year. That's no small feat, you know.
So that is really interesting when you bring up like how many people are actually on your team, and are you looking for more people to add to that, or?
Um, right now we are really cash strapped, so and we are not really. So there's one active developer, core developer. There's some advisory going on, and then there's a marketing and I'm the product designer and partnership, business development and stuff. We wish that if we grow, if we get some adoption uh, over the next few weeks, we do have a development team, a development fund that we are really happy to use on like more personnel, more developers, especially to grow into other chains and stuff. But we can't do and plan stuff until we are in it. We kind of level up a bit.
No, that totally makes sense. I guess it's really interesting to seeing like even what the market cap is right now, which I know in cryptocurrency space seems small, but it is really interesting that with just a bootstrapped team that you've managed this much of a market cap.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
been.
obviously you still have some challenges, like with the peg, and I think that's what keeps a lot of people from it. But it sounds like solutions are already in place, and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and I really kind of, it kind of grinds my gears, not in a bad way, when people think that having like, I mean, I know that if you look at it just from a like numbers perspective, okay, that Bitcoin is off the peg, right? But that means that for the new investor, it's just a better risk profile than buying Bitcoins at 50,000, because what you want is price gain, right? So seeing Bitcoins at 30,000, saying, okay, these are liquid in SushiSwap and I get APY on these. It's like, isn't, I mean, they're working, they have all the same properties, right? So it's just a better deal for the new guy. If they were pegged, there wouldn't be a profit opportunity for the next guy until they're pegged, unless it's the normal Bitcoin opportunity. So as a new investor looking at a project like this and just figuring out the what we're doing, having it be under the peg is just the best entry you could ask for, right? To start providing liquidity, to start getting yields, whatever you want.
Well, and as a hedge too, right? Like if you even if you wanted to go like I know that it's a one-way bridge, but if you wanted to hedge let's say Bitcoin's value right now, right? It's
Right.
56 or whatever. Um if you wanted to enter what is the same value, at least protocol wise or like coding wise, like you want the same kind of value and scarcity, but you wanted to hedge your exposure to Bitcoin, you could buy
Right.
a VBTC and you essentially are giving yourself like a 40% upside, but also you're patting yourself 40% on the
Right.
downside too, right?
Right, because it's already dipped, right? So it's not really, there's not really that much downside left to it at this price, because of there's, I mean, everyone's just figured out that it's under the peg, so they don't have really any reason to sell, right? So
Yeah,
it's
sorry, I've
it's
taken up like all of
workable.
the questions. I feel super
No,
bad.
that's
Sorry,
great.
but
We're
if
just
anybody
complaining
else
about
has
that.
any, I'm super open
Great
to just
questions.
muting myself and
No,
being
no,
quiet.
great questions, man. We were just complaining about the silence before you came in.
Sorry. um, I think that's like a lot of the questions I have right now. I guess my summary, it seems like, I mean, as awesome as Strudel is as the reward token, it almost, I don't know. I guess as an investor, it seems a little more interesting to have VBTC. Oh, maybe both of them. Who knows? I don't want to like smash one side or the other because clearly
No,
this is
don't
an
worry.
AMA. But
The cool thing is that what we want is that if you're providing liquidity on either side, you're getting paid a daily subsidy to keep participating. And for example, you can buy bitcoins every day with these short yields, right? And that's a great investment, because not only you're going to ride Bitcoin to $1 million, but you're also like 40% off.
yeah, so that actually is an interesting question. Do you have is there a time frame that it's been under the peg, or did anything happen in specific to
Um,
bring it under?
So, look, I think that the real reason why this Bitcoin is tracking under the peg is that this Bitcoin isn't really exposed to like venture capital types that really want Bitcoin. So the people holding this Bitcoin are only basically Ethereum traders, right? And they have a different perspective of Bitcoin a little bit. Um, so I think it's just a perception thing, and as they get more uh, as we tell more people about it and we get more liquid, you're gonna get different kind of people buying this, right? And it's not only gonna be Ethereum maxis who value Bitcoin a little bit less than the venture capitalist guys, but those guys are gonna find it interesting because it's cheap and a profit opportunity, but they need a little bit more liquidity, right? They're kind of a bigger type of trader. So once you get both parties to look at the same product, it's going to end up paying, like, regardless. And that might take like 6 months, right? That might take a year. But since the bridge is secured, anyone who understands the principle can just keep on buying bitcoins. Like, people, like, this is a rehash of bitcoins, like of the Bitcoin thesis before it was really widely adopted. Like, is it worth something? And then someone shorts it, and the market says, no, okay, there's not enough people believing in it to hold the price. But as we grow more and more people into the fray, you just get a more distributed pool, a bigger pool, more participants, more use cases. So it's going up and up and up.
So would you say then, I mean, obviously you're a lead developer, all of it's really good, but when it comes to liquidity pools, I see on Strudel Finance, you have a liquidity pool for VBTC that pays in Strudel. That almost seems like it would be a safer liquidity pool than some
That's
of
the
the other
safest.
ones.
Yeah, that's the safest investment. That's a bit of the thing too, because the degens in Ethereum, they don't want the safest, most guaranteed investment to do 10x over the next year or two, right? They want to have it now. And the thing is that they get, when you come at it from that mind frame, then Strudel seems more attractive short term for most people initially, because they think, okay, this is going to 10x now, but I mean, that's all right, but we need to for people to focus on BBTC first and have more and more holders of BBTC that understand that it is a safe investment and it's not like a degen play. It's a safe, good investment to put a lot of money into, and we need for people to figure that out.
Right. Well, I mean, I think people will, or I don't know if
They
people
will.
like math, but you got 350% APY for the BBTC spot on your main site for staking. I know this is a sushi thing, so obviously, whatever people use sushi, but that means that you would essentially make back your investment quite quickly and safely. I don't know. That's see, none of this makes sense, but yeah, I'm definitely interested. So thanks for answering all my questions.
No problem. I hope to see you around in Telegram or something.
Well, awesome. I didn't cut somebody off today.
No.
I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Just want to thank everybody who came out. Ataxia, were you informed about the Strudel reward?
Strudel reward. Strudel reward.
Yeah,
Is the price
I was
for
told. I was told by one of the sushi people that you guys had planned a reward for 4 of the people asking questions. I don't know if
Sure.
that's actually
I mean, if that's what totally we can do a reward. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
just,
Yeah, I was
just
just asking because
just to be clear, I'm not. I have had a super busy day, and the team has organized something I'm not aware of. But let's do it. I totally would like to do that because we've had some excellent questions.
yeah. I was trying to keep track. I mean, I thought House Mobile was a really good question. Vincent Reinot, that's a really good question. I think uh, Duke. I think Duke asked a good question, and there was somebody who had to go, but they were asking questions as well. It was the guy who's like recording.
All right, let's. I need to talk with his dudeness is here. All right, let's get those names down so we can get them and give them their strudels, tasty strudels.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody who came out to ask questions and participate and listen in. I want to thank Ataxia. Thank you so much for coming out and being available to, tell the sushi community about Strudel.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me. I hope we can have another one of these. I really enjoyed them, and thanks for all you do.
Yeah, awesome. Stay safe, everyone.